Hi, everybody. So basically, about a year ago, um, I talked about how to use specific applications for cybersecurity and privacy in order to keep your privacy on iOS, on Android and iOS devices. Now, because we are stepping into the metaverse, and shall we say, let's start with the Oculus devices, which is what I'm using here. As you can see, pretty familiar experience and user interface. Since we are talking about the Oculus Quest 2, or by the new branding Meta Quest 2, I'm gonna do the same because let me just move this one to here, and I can close the file manager and specifically talk about the application that I want to talk with you guys. Let's resize it, and voila. So basically, since Oculus or MetaQuest 2 is actually using their modified version of Android, we can go ahead and sideload applications that are not available through Oculus Store. So here I have an open source application which I use for my Android device, I think for about 5 or 6 years. It's called NetGuard. And NetGuard is an open source application that is not forcing you to root your Android device in order to maintain privacy and security. Now, on Android, I used to actually hack my device to actually root my device just for the sake of installing a firewall application to prevent specific applications to go and use Wi-Fi network or data network. Now, since this application is available for Android and you don't have to actually hack your device or basically jailbreak or root your device, and as I've said before, this version of Oculus OS is basically Android. So I can load this application, sideload by SideQuest or any other application, or I can go ahead actually and install um, F-Droid App Store. So basically, it's an open source application store only. So you will find there only open source applications, which is better, obviously, for your privacy. So just like on Android, if you don't trust Google to provide you the applications, and you don't want to trust every application in the Android Play Store, Google Play Store, you can go ahead and sideload applications from F-Droid. Same principle goes for this Oculus OS. So if I don't trust all of the applications in the Oculus Store, I can go ahead and load applications that I trust, specifically open source applications. I want to demonstrate that the Oculus web browser actually works just fine. Now, if I go ahead and filter here the browser, um, Oculus browser, and I prevent access for Wi-Fi, you will see that if I go ahead and dive into some specific link, the Oculus browser is having a very hard time to load this information. Same goes for if I go ahead and start some new website. For example, let's go to BBC. You can see that the device can't actually go and dive to this website. And if I go ahead and bring back this Wi-Fi access, then you will see that BBC will obviously come up. Same goes for Wikipedia. If I go ahead and reload, you will see that the link that I've clicked or touched actually works. So why this is good for? Well, I would not advise anybody to actually block system applications. I'm gonna also hide applications that don't have internet access because there is no point of blocking them. Show disabled apps. I don't have disabled apps because my device is not rooted, so it's pointless. And now we have all the user applications that we installed. All right. So now I can go ahead and specifically restrict internet permissions for applications that maybe I don't trust. I don't want InShot, which is a side-loaded application from Android App Store. I don't want it to access the internet right? And then I go ahead and I'll launch this application right from here. And as you can see, this application works, and the online materials and features this application has, for example, such as a music library and stuff like this, is not available to me. And if I'm gonna go ahead and start a new project, video editing project, let's say I want to actually edit this video here, a short segment of video. As you can see, I can use the application just fine, but if I want to add some music libraries, online music libraries, then I won't be able to do so, because if I go ahead and I can't see what I'm clicking. So let's click this music library. As you can see, it's empty because we can't use this uh, online music library, but you can still use the application, and the full functionality of the application um, is available to you, such as editing videos. So this is very nice. And if I want to go back, restrict internet access, for example, if I go ahead and do this for workrooms by Meta or even YouTube VR by Google, then there is no point restricting these applications because they depend on the internet. So, if you want to actually watch videos in YouTube, you will have to keep the internet access on. Same goes for workrooms. If you want to meet people in the metaverse and conduct your business meetings and other meetings that you are doing, you will have to keep the internet access on. So there is no point for specific applications that are dependent on the internet to restrict internet access for them. Same goes for TeamViewer. I use TeamViewer to actually control my computer, all of my computers from my VR environment and VR office, and actually control them via this environment here. For example, online gaming, multiplayer gaming, and games and military simulators that I enjoy, Pavlov VR and onward. There is no point of restricting the access for them because they won't work without internet connection. You can play the single player campaign, but eventually there is no point of military simulators without competing against other people. So once again, we will have to use our logic in order to use this kind of application for privacy and security, because you will have to know what to block and what to allow. So basically, NetGuard is a firewall, just like I've already demonstrated in my video a year ago on YouTube. NetGuard is for non-rooted Android devices, and Lockdown is for non-rooted or non-jailbroken iOS devices. So basically, take my advice, do your cons and pros, and decide for yourself if you want this kind of thing in the VR. I'm not using the NetGuard application actively unless I want to test some third-party applications that I've downloaded outside of the Oculus store and I don't trust them. So then I always go ahead, launch NetGuard. Let's use the controller. Launch NetGuard, and as you can see, I go ahead and toggle this on, and then I go ahead and find the application that I've just installed and launch them from here after I've disabled the internet access for them. But on daily basis, I turn off this NetGuard toggle button, and right now the application, the firewall is actually disabled, because I don't want the application to interfere with some background services by Facebook, Meta, and maybe take effect on my experience when I'm using the applications and the games I love in the metaverse, basically in the VR, in my VR headset. Now, just to be clear, it won't hurt anything, but just in case it will, I prefer to disable it. If you are afraid of Facebook and Meta and you don't trust them because their privacy and other scandals, then you can go ahead and research and investigate about each service in their operating system, and take your own decisions of which service to block and which service not to block. People are doing so with NetGuard for years about Google Android devices, but most of the people that actually care about privacy have the privilege to actually flash other Android ROMs onto their smartphones. The privilege that we don't have on Oculus because you can't actually root their device. But thankfully enough, as Mark Zuckerberg said in his video, on his Meta event, they are thinking and probably will soon allow us to disconnect our Facebook accounts from the Oculus headsets. So, for example, in my case, I don't have an issue right now with using my Facebook account because it has its own pros and cons. For example, I can go ahead and um, find my friends from Facebook, and actually the people who have this VR device can join me uh, and play together or use applications together. So this is pretty useful in case you don't have some privacy issues with trusting Meta. Now I can understand that a lot of people have privacy issues and trust issues with Meta, but soon you will be able to actually disconnect your Facebook account from Meta and use their Meta or Oculus or whatever account they will enable us to use. So that's all for today, and see you in the next one.